Yo, yo, what up, guys? Give a couple minutes for everybody to get started or everybody to get rolling in, and then we'll get rolling. So, look forward. This is going to be a fun one, guys. So, we're going to be going through some of the new sheets that are dropping into our Black Book, and we'll be jamming. So, yeah, see you guys in a couple minutes. Yo, yo, welcome, everybody. As I find my spot. All right. So we'll give a couple minutes. Still a few people. It's a slow Thursday. If you're anything like me, actually, I know most of the US is like this because I talked to a couple people in Atlanta and they were complaining because it was like 40 degrees. And I didn't understand that. But I guess 40 is cold for Atlanta. So we're in Chicago where like water is frozen and now we have snow on top of it. And like this is not my jam. So depending on where you guys are, hopefully you're as far south as you can be, but maybe winter's your thing. I don't know. All right, so everybody starts rolling in. Welcome, welcome, guys. My goal today is to really go through what we call the perfect proposal checklist because we went through the scale side, and there's a lot that we can unpack. So hopefully at this point, I'm going to ask you guys, do you have your scale clients defined for 2025? That's the first question I'm going to ask that. I want you guys to put that in the chat. Do you have your scale clients defined for 2025? Do you know where your revenue is coming from, right? If you put your mind, effort, attention, whatever you want to call it, right? If you put all that inside one place, do you know what revenue you're going to get from your current customers that's above and beyond what you got this year, right? This calendar year. Just throw it in the chat. Start jamming through that. Mr. Bonnie, booting you up. There we go. So question to everybody inside the chat. Oh, dude, the hat. Oh man. There's one thing to have a black hat on. There's another thing to have a black hat with that logo on. Like you're trying to say something. I hear you. I hear you.
I know a few of the attendees don't like it. That's okay though. It's okay. We'll see. We'll see how it all works out.
This is controversial. I understand now. Okay. All right. All right. Welcome. Welcome. All right.
This is gonna be a great session. I'm
Yeah.
pumped.
Yeah. All right. All right. Question to everybody that's thrown in here. Do you know where your additional revenue is coming from in 2025? Right? We've done this for how many weeks at this point right now, helping you define, okay, who are my customers? What are they worth, right? How do we put a dollar amount to what the customer is worth? Talked about square footage. I need a Red Bull. Talked about square footage. We talked about number of properties. We talked about all of those different things to be able to help you guys put a number to, okay, what can this be worth to me in 2025? Then we started going through, okay, what I should say, or how do we have those conversations? Right? How do we go and have the conversation about, are you happy with your current vendors? Are you raving about what we do enough to where I can maybe get some more work, right? I can take some more properties. I can start expanding what you love about us in different areas. So we got all of that different stuff put together. So my question to you is, as we keep pouring into you guys, as we keep adding value above and beyond, do you guys got the foundation built? I think that's a huge, huge part is you guys have the foundation built. You know what customers you're going to be scaling in 2025. So we can start putting blinders on to be able to say, this is the revenue that I need to scale. because there's two things that you guys have to do every single week. We talk about it multiple times. We're either growing or we're scaling. And we're going to start getting a little bit deeper than that, right? So there's a methodology behind all of this. The framework that we have is grow versus scale. What are you doing? Right? Scale. All right, cool. What clients do you have and how much more money could you logically get from them? Right? Because at no point would I ever want you to say I'm going to get 100% of their work, because that's not always realistic. Because a customer we're scaling, chances are they have multiple contractors. They're moving more into a professional buyer. Those types of different things naturally happen as customers grow, get bigger, get smarter, and kind of get, and smarter is not the right word, efficient, get more efficient, I should say. Right? They'll start bringing in third-party work order systems. They'll start buying more on time material, which makes it harder for you guys to scale. So we've talked about all of that kind of different stuff. So I want to know right now, do you guys have your clients for 2025 that you're going to scale this year? There we go. So start throwing some answers in there. All right. If you guys are showing up, I don't want you guys showing up just to be able to sit here and listen. That's my call out to you that haven't put anything in. Da, da. 1207. We should be able to get ready. Not really. That's not good enough. I don't like that answer. All right, there we go. Yes. No, I'm kidding. So I'm going to challenge you guys, right? And I'm going to put you on a hot track that if you guys don't have the customers that you're scaling, that to me is the most important thing that you guys can do during this break. And when I say break, Christmas is hitting on Wednesdays, right? What's going to happen is we're going to have long vacations. We're going to have especially clients, PTO, all that kind of different stuff comes into play always at the end of the year. So naturally, things slow down. And if I can give you guys one recommendation, it's to hone in on this part of your business. Because you can catch up on projects. I can stay busy, right? As many hours as I give myself, that's how long it's going to take me to be able to do the projects or things that I have to do. What really matters are what are the things that I want to do and what are the things that I need to do. Because naturally, we talked a little bit about this in the growth side, I'm going to gravitate to what I like doing. Okay. And David's not going to like this. I like sending emails. Sorry, David. I like sending emails. Why? Because I don't like picking the phone up. Why? Because it takes me a lot of time to do it. But at the end of the day, guess what? I still got to call David, right? Because he doesn't respond to my emails. But different story for a different day. Just a slight little stab and twist. If you guys didn't feel that, okay, that was a twist. That whatever you guys don't like to do, you're going to navigate away from it. But I'm serious inside this point. If you don't know the customers that you're scaling into inside 2025, it means that you're probably going to have to create the plan on the fly. And that sucks. It sucks because you don't have vision. It sucks because you don't have a structured play. And a lot of times we'll go like, yeah, I think they'll give me more next year. Yeah, for sure. And I think is not what's going to get us there. I think, I hope, I wish, I want, all that kind of different stuff doesn't do anything. What we need is a structured approach to how we're going to start doing more work with the clients that we know are giving work to other contractors. So whether that be going there and straight up asking them, using the talk track that we're giving you guys to be able to have those conversations logically, right? One of the things that we do is try to share best practices with you guys. That's why we give you the talk tracks and the sheets and all those kind of different things, because we know it works. We've done it. We've used it. So as we get into these next couple phases throughout the rest of this year, we're going to be talking about what is the perfect proposal? What does it look like, right? What should it include? Then we're going to get a little bit deeper. We're going to be talking about preventative maintenance. So we've talked a little bit about it. And if you guys can't already tell, my opinion of preventative maintenance is a little bit different than probably what you hear in other parts of the industry. Because preventative maintenance is like the golden thing, right? That like the 1% of the 1% actually proactively sign a contract and proactively pay to prevent issues. The other 99% of contractors, or I'm sorry, owners, are going to call you when they have an issue. And it's not because they don't want to buy it. It's not because your sales presentation sucks. It's not because your proposal isn't pretty. It's just because they're a reactive customer, out of sight, out of mind. The roof's not leaking. I'm fine. And the problem hasn't become big enough to where they know they need to proactively fix it. And that's okay, right? I'm not looking for that one beautiful golden company that's going to sign a preventative maintenance agreement. And we'll talk about what that reverse sale looks like. We'll talk about kind of what's the informal preventative maintenance agreement that you guys can probably sell every single time that you show up to a customer or you deliver a proposal. So that's really where this is going to go for the rest of the year. And as we start getting into these different nooks and crannies of the scale side, I don't want you guys thinking of like, okay, who are my customers? What is he talking about? I don't have this built. Take the time and do it. That's the one thing for me to you guys is take the time and figure out what customers truly have a growth opportunity. If we've done an audit for you guys, beautiful. You've already got the data. Just do the work. Schedule the time, block it out, put it on your calendar that tomorrow at 2 o'clock, you're going to spend 1 hour, 60 minutes figuring out what are the 10 clients. Okay. I'm going to give you that number 10. What are the 10 clients? What are the 5 clients? Smaller the better. Okay. Smaller the list you have is the more condensed you're going to have. And I'm going to share this. This probably should go into the grow side. But there was something that when I ran SDR teams and I gave them lists, okay, to call. And if I gave a list of 1,000 records to one SDR, he would blast through those and he would say, I'm done. I was like, all right. What'd you get from it? Oh, I got 2. I got 2 meetings and yeah, I need a new list. I already went through that whole list. And what I found is if I gave a list 20 people to a certain client or to a certain SDR, the results would be drastically different. And they'd be drastically different for a very logical reason because he had 1,000. He didn't care what was happening. He was just dialing and going. And if they didn't answer, who cares? I'm on to the next, on to the next. And he's just trying to find the low-hanging fruit for someone who has a roof leak right now. But what would happen is when I had 20 and I gave 20 to that SDR, his mindset was completely different. Be like, oh crap, I only got 20 for all day. So these better be kick-ass calls. I better find out who I'm calling. I better do the work. Right? Because if I blast through these 20 within from 8 to 9 a.m., I don't got any more leads. I don't got any more opportunities. I'm going to have to go Google Prospect or find ways to call something else. And what would happen is that I'd have a list of 1,000 and I'd get two meetings, and I'd have a list of 20 and I would get 5 meetings. Just because of the clarity and the directness, right, that we would have, that we know that this has to go great. We know that this needs to happen. And I'm using that same philosophy with you guys to be able to say, hone this down. If you guys got 40 companies that you want to scale, it's beautiful. I love it. Do 10 a quarter. Just do 10 a quarter. Because the more that you guys can ultimately qualify or disqualify is the easier and faster that you guys are going to get to results. It's the biggest thing I can tell you. So break it down, make it smaller, figure out what customers have the best juice for the squeeze is kind of what I want to say. Because if you have an account that you're doing 10,000 with right now and they have a projected revenue of 20,000, it's double. I mean, yeah, that's 50%. I mean, let's get that up. But if you have an account that you're doing $1,000 with and it's worth 100,000, that juice is, that dollar amount, that top dollar amount. What is that account worth? Right? It makes sense to be able to focus, take that 1,000, right, that you're doing 1% with, and to be able to grow it. So we want to make logical, smart decisions. And if you guys need help doing that, know that we're here. This is why David and I are here, to be able to help you guys figure out who are these clients, who are you going after? Because again, the more precise that we can get, the more condensed that we can get to be able to say, this is the client that I'm going after, these are my point of contacts, and this is what I'm trying to do. My goal is at the end of each quarter, if we have 10 on that list, we either have 10 that have transferred in, that we're on that scale goal and we're on track, or, and I don't want to say 10, right, because we're not disqualifying all of them, or we figured out, you know what, I thought this was a great scale account, but it turns out it's not because of blah, 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 blah. I'm okay with either one. But the idea is that we're getting effort, a very specific effort to a very specific list of clients. David, anything you want to add to that, sir?
Nope.
Okay. So that's what I want from you guys. I want you to be able to have that list. If you need help building that list, if the list is not big enough, or hey, I need more. I mean, let's have those conversations. That's why we're here, is to have those conversations and to make sure that you guys got the list that you need. Because like I said, as we go into today, what's the perfect proposal? What's it look like, right? What should it include? How should we talk to our team? How can we make sure that our proposals have as much as possible, right? And I'll talk about as much as possible because there is a good and bad to that. And then as we go into preventative maintenance, those are all the results, right? Those are all the subcategories to having your primaries defined. A huge part. If you don't have it, do the work, schedule the time, put it on your list, right? You got 2 weeks at the end of the month. If you can't get it done, figure that out, do it, because it's going to be some of the most beneficial work that you will do all year, right? Kind of a fun play on that because it's going to be the end of the year, but it's going to be the most influential work that you're going to do that's going to set you up for success, without a doubt, hands down.
Do remember, guys, every Thursday morning we have office hours. So if you guys need help, we know the vast majority of the systems that you guys are in. We can steer you in the right direction. Make sure you get stuff figured out. We can connect with your leaders to make sure everything is getting identified. The big thing, the reason why I'm so excited about this specific session is because we're talking about scaling an account. The majority of the conversation that we've had on scaling the account is increasing the share of wallet, trying to get the money that they're already spending in other areas, other buildings, other maybe parts of the portfolio that we're not in, whatever that may be. This is a part of the scale goal within the amount or within the amount of opportunity that you already have, the buildings that they're already allowing you guys on, the buildings that they've already given you responsibility over. So, as we've gone through, and how do you go through and do you expand the account, get to the next point of contact, white glove service, kill it for them so they're raving about you to their colleagues, all of that stuff. That is one important way to do it for 2025, guys, as we're setting your goals. But this is for your existing clients is also going to be a very important one when we talk about the perfect proposal. And guys, remember when we're looking at your new client acquisition up against your existing client revenue, I mean, the ratio of effort to outcome is crazy. Much less effort.
Yep.
To get much less effort. I thought much less effort. Oh, I think I am. Dang it. Much less effort to get the results that you're looking for versus going out and hunting for new clients.
I'm going to get you. So David, for Christmas, I'm going to ruin this right now. We're getting him a T-Mobile hotspot. I told you, sorry. It's gonna come in the mail and it's going to be yours, all yours.
Terrible. I need Starlink.
All right, so we're going to dive into it, guys, and we're going to talk through each one of these because I know it looks simple, but I'm going to talk through some of the struggles that I've had personally, some of the struggles that I work through with different clients to be able to make sure that you guys understand these, and I'll also put some stories behind them so you guys can understand the importance of each one of these. So at the highest level, when we talk about the perfect proposal checklist, it's going to have 5 things in it. Number 1 is membrane, 2 is sheet metal, 3 is waterproofing, 4 is safety, 5 is interior. So when we talk about membrane, this is an obvious one, right? This is one of the most obvious ones, is that we go up there as a roofer, you're typically looking at the membrane, right? And please understand that there's a big difference between a quick bid, site bid, and then a inspection, right? So what we want to kind of do is almost bridge that into a best practices. And this is something that you can bring to your team, you can bring to your service manager, right? You can bring to your organization to be able to say, hey, this is something that we're looking at implementing, something I'm learning about on the sales side. So number 1 is membrane. When we talk about membrane, this really goes back, and this will tie in heavy to preventative maintenance. There are 4 primary areas when we talk about membrane failure where we typically see it. So number 1 is anything that's connected into sorry, I'm blanking on that. So anything connected into foot traffic, right? So typically you're going to have any type of failures or anything else like that is going to be connected directly into foot traffic. People up on the roof, right? How many times the HVAC guy comes up there, he sets his bag down on the roof after coming off the ladder, coming through a roof hatch, and all of a sudden you have a puncture. Very common. So when we talk about membrane, right, we're looking for punctures. Punctures can either be from foot traffic, punctures can be from setting down bags, all kinds of different things. We've had HVAC doors that have, windstorm, right, opening, closing, they weren't locked. All of a sudden they came across, now they're flipping across the roof. Punctures, huge part about that. The other thing is, depending on what type of system, you're always going to seams. So seam can either be heat welded together or glued together for the most part. Yeah, you can torch it, that stuff too. But for the most part, it's either heat welded, flame or non-flame, or it's glued together. Those are areas of high stress, especially in a TPO or a PVC system. When they're heat welded together, there's something called a cold weld. So a lot of times you can do it with a robot, you can do stuff by hand, all that kind of different stuff, but there is room for human error in that, right? So you're going through punctures, you're going through open seams, and then you're getting to anything connected into penetrations, which we'll talk about that in a sec. But when you're looking at your membrane for the most part, that is your most common area where I'm going to assume your team is good. Okay, good. Maybe not great. And depending if you guys have a checklist of what you're checking, much like I said, we're looking at seams, we're looking at penetrations, we're looking at terminations, those type of different things can make you guys be a little bit more detailed on how you're inspecting that membrane. That's the easiest one. Second one is sheet metal. And when I talk about sheet metal, you're going to have to look internally to your business. Because what is your guys' capability with sheet metal, right? There's smaller contractors that use a third-party company to be able to make all of their gutters and downspouts. Love it, cool, absolutely awesome with it. A lot of times when we're looking at buildings, especially if we're out there on leak calls, we're looking just at the membrane. Why? Because there's no issues with the gutters or downspouts. They didn't tell us there was any issues with the gutters and downspouts. And that's where this kind of goes a little bit off track. I'm not asking if there's a problem with it. I'm asking, is there something that we can proactively recommend to our customer? Because most of the time, and you'll hear me say it throughout these others, our customer is not at the property. They can't see it. They don't know what's going on, or they don't know what the repercussions are. So I'll tell you, a lot of times when I was in self-storage and we had downspouts that were coming off the units, what would happen is that cars, moving trucks, different things like that would get too close to the edge and it would crush the downspout, right? So like the little kick at the bottom, it would crush it. Normally in the summer, not that crazy of stuff, but as we're getting colder throughout the US, what's going to happen is we're going to start having a reduction of water flow, which means ice is going to build up. And if that happens day after day, now all of a sudden you have a gutter that's no longer draining water and it's continuing to be able to back up. Once that water backs up, now you're backing it up in the gutter. Gutter's not made to be able to handle that much weight. Now you're having gutter issues. Now you're having leaks within the edge, different things like that. So opening our eyes up to be able to see, okay, sheet metal, we have gutters, we have downspouts, right? Those are the easy sheet metal sides. We have flashing up on the roof, right? Which could be part of your membrane inspection. Do they have counter flashing? Should they have it? So on and so on. But then I'm going to take it one step further. And I'm going to talk about wall panels. I'm going to talk about ACM panels. Do you guys have the capability of producing that stuff? One of the biggest areas where I lost a lot of money until I realized that I was losing money was in wall panels. Any pre-construction metal building typically has some type of corrugated wall panel to it. And there was being damage that was happening. Again, same thing. It was from moving trucks or people or whatever it might be. It could be from forklifts in a manufacturing facility. It could be all kinds of different things. Do you guys have the capability of producing the wall panel that's there? Now, are you going to self-produce it? Are you going to do it through your metal manufacturer that's making it for you? That's your guys' call, but there's a lot of value that can come from, again, going above and beyond the obvious. This isn't just about the roof. Right now we're getting into gutters and downspouts. Now we're getting into wall panels. If your production team has the capability to install these, the chances are you guys have the capability to repair them. So let's go above and beyond, because if your customer isn't aware that you guys offer that service because your name is ABC Roofing and you're a roofing contractor and that's why I use you because you're a roofer, there could be a very easy conversation to be able to say, hey, we noticed some wall panel issues that we can take care of for you. Now you've ultimately went above and beyond and even entered into an entirely new area with that customer. So when I talk about sheet metal, realize and find out is really what it is. Find out what your guys' capabilities are. And it's just not you guys finding this out, right? If you're here as a service manager, or here as a sales manager, you're here as a sales rep, all that stuff's great. If you guys aren't doing the inspection yourself, you're only as good as the data you have. Garbage in, garbage out, right? So if your technicians aren't looking for wall panels, if your technicians aren't looking at gutters and downspouts, some of these things take a team. It's not just you, right? Especially if we're talking about on-site upsells, right? Looking for additional items or post-job proposals, which both come from your technicians. This proposal checklist can absolutely still be applied, right? This is a best practice that can go into your business. So we talked membrane, we got that. We talked sheet metal, find out what your capabilities are for sheet metal. Again, ACM panels, wall panels, all kinds of different things that you guys might be able to take care of can all be addressed within this. Next one is waterproofing. So there's a lot of different types of waterproofing. Now, again, talk to your team and figure out what you guys have done and what you guys are capable of. I don't want you to lose work because you can't position yourself as the best option for the clients. Remember, that's checkbox 3. I'm not telling you guys to go quote something you've never done before. I'm telling you guys to be able to expand to everything you're able to produce as an expert, right? As a professional. So when we get into waterproofing, very, very simple, caulking, right? So up on the roof, caulking around pipe penetrations, caulking at metal edges, all that kind of different stuff. That's step 1. Step 2 is moving over to your verticals, which means if you're dealing with a building that has walls, right? Tilt walls, anything else like that, they're probably going to have control joints or expansion joints on the wall. Those fail just like any other sealant. They're there to be able to basically move in and out. They got a lifespan of 5 to 8 years on average, depending on where they are. Water can do incredible things. It's the strongest thing that we have in the world, water. And when water freezes, it can move walls, it can move buildings, it can move whatever it wants to. So when you have issues with control joints or sealants that are failing, different things like that, it is a massive, massive issue. So if you guys have walked into a building, okay, and see if this brings it to you, and you open the door and shut the door, and it's especially in cold, and you're having a hard time shutting the door, you got to slam it, right? Or you got to push it open. It's like, you got to push it back. That's because at some point that building has shifted. And it might truly only be shifting because it's cold and the building contracted and all the stuff's kind of moving, right? And the doors don't work as good. The windows don't work as good as when it's cold. Because when everything contracts when it's cold, expands when it gets hot. That's all connected into your waterproofing. So you got the roofing side. Then we jump down and we go into our verticals, our control joints, different things like that. Then we can go into our penetrations on the walls. Now, again, get with your team, see what your capabilities are. But if we have a door, that door probably has some type of flashing and sealant around it that's terminating it into the wall. If you have windows, right, the windows are caulked in. I'm not telling you to go take care of this. I'm telling you that these are different areas where waterproofing applies. And if you guys have the capability to do it, then we should be giving this option to our client, because naturally it's going to allow them to be able to do more work with us and less work with other contractors, which is the whole point of scale. So look at our windows, look at our walls, look at different things like that. Can we take care of those items? If so, it should be in our proposals. The next thing I'm going to go to is probably something that you guys don't do a lot of, because I don't see contractors do it, but I'll tell you, it's one of the easiest things I've ever been involved in. Horizontal waterproofing. Because if we have the ability to put caulk on a bead of wall that's vertical, horizontal is something called SL, right? Self-leveling. And it's for when you're concrete, your sidewalks, your different things like that. So if you guys have a waterproofing division, I would really recommend you guys speak and figure out, do you guys have the ability to do horizontal waterproofing, right? That could be building. A lot of times where concrete goes right up to the building. right? That's a waterproofing joint right there to be able to make sure water's staying away. Because again, water can move buildings, water can do all kinds of crazy stuff. If you have it where the curb meets a sidewalk, there's a waterproofing issue there, or waterproofing need. So there's a lot of different areas where you guys can provide value. So if you have a waterproofing team, have that conversation. Figure out, are there additional things that you guys can provide from a service side that your company has the capability of taking care of? So I'm going to pause here for a sec, because going through these three right here is exactly what David said originally. Everything we've spoke about up to this point is talking about getting more buildings or getting more parts of the bill, all kinds of different stuff in the scale size, like go get more buildings, all that kind of different stuff. I'm now showing you guys a completely different way to get more work from the customers you already have that does not include getting more buildings. Now, if you get more buildings, beautiful, implement the checklist. It's going to naturally increase your proposals. All that different stuff's going to happen. But understand, this is a completely different way. And that's why I said at the beginning, know who your customers are. Because once you know who your customers are, cool, awesome. Now I got my customers. What am I going to do? Now we're taking that step that I got my customers, I got my scale goal, I know where I'm going to do it. Now I'm helping you guys say, how am I going to do it? You're going to start right here. And we're going to implement a way for us to be able to complete more work on the buildings that we're already working on. Mr. Bonnie, anything you want to add to this, sir?
The question that you guys should ask yourself is, in the role of sales, are you an order taker? My guess is, at least my hope is that every single one of you guys on here said, no way, I'm an order taker. Guess what though, guys? And we're not trying to be cruel within this. But what Chad and I see most often is actually most of you guys are operating as order takers. You're not leading your clients to see the bigger things that are wrong, the bigger opportunities that will allow them to extend the life of their roof, that will keep them from having to spend more, that will keep them from having to waste more time in a few weeks dealing with an issue that you guys could have solved when you're out there, whatever the case is. And when you guys act like an order taker, that means your client is the alpha in the relationship. And if they're the alpha, then they're the leader of the relationship. And you're just sitting back and you're only going to be as good as they allow you to be. Your ability to help them is going to come down to you stepping out of an order taker role and stepping into a trusted advisor leadership role from a sales perspective. And these are the key things that we have to be able to do. These are the key things that we have to allow them to see, the key things that we have to talk them through so that we can help lead them to an outcome that they wouldn't normally be able to achieve on their roof. Okay, so we say that with all due respect, but that's basically the whole industry, guys. We're not targeting you guys by any stretch. That's the whole industry. We work with some of the biggest companies in the country. And one of the things that we hear most often is the sales reps are afraid of quotes being too big because they're afraid their clients are going to get mad. They're worried about being able to have that conversation of, hey, this is what's going on here. Here are your choices. We can do this now. If not, we might have to be back out here in 3 to 4 weeks because this is now going to cause another issue that we're going to have to come out and fix. Totally up to you. Right? But it's because their clients own the relationship. Their clients control the relationship instead of them controlling the relationship. And that goes all the way down throughout the entire industry. So we're really trying to give you guys, and that's why we have it at the bottom of the sheet of paper, a new posture to be able to step into. Okay. But like we always say, this is educational, right? Problems, goals, education. It's never fear-based. Never fear-based.
Yeah, you're using it now. Yeah. I'm going to go down a little bit of a rabbit hole because David, as you said something, I had a conversation yesterday. And I'm just going to share it with you guys, and it was about being an order taker. Okay, and again, I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm saying it to be kind of real and just say, okay, where are our leads, where are opportunities coming from? So when I share this, this is just kind of a default lead type that I give to customers I work with, right? Contractors I work with. And the way it's set up is 1, 2, and 3. And it's very specific like that because one always is my technician. That means my technician found it and gave it to me. So it says service technician in there. Most of the time, I just have whatever the name is, right? It's Jimmy, it's John, it's Juan, whatever it is, right? So they created it, which means they did a post job proposal, created the opportunity, and I'm giving them credit for that. Beautiful. Two is when you guys, sales, went out and got it, right? We talk about order taker, right? Hunter farmer, right? Goes right into it, right? Are we hunting for it? Are we going to get it? Are we farming it where, hey, it's just coming in? And that's where the order taker side comes from. So when I look at number two, cold call, sales cold called the customer. You picked the phone up, you did the activity, and you called the customer. Drop, sales stopped by the building and self-introduced themselves. You walked in the building and you talked to the person. Referral, sales directly requested the referral. Understand that. Sales directly requested the referral. It didn't just come in. Yes, it was my client who said it. Did you ask for it? Are you engaging that? Are you triggering that? Right? Sales self-engaged on social media. And then SDR developed the lead, right? Telemarketing, some sales development rep did it. So these are just basic starters, but the twos are all things that you go get, right? This is the hunting side of it. But when we talk about order taker, what I'm talking about is how does that lead come into us, right? The client called us to request a service or request a bid. They called us. That's taking it, right? I didn't engage it. They called me. They had a roof leak. They said, I need a roofer. Okay, call Chad at ABC Roofing. They called in. Client engaged with us on a website. Same thing. They went to the website. They chose to fill that out, right? They chose to engage us on website chat, whatever it is. Client emailed us. So client called in. Client emailed us to request the service bid. They shot us an email. Came to the service at abcroofing.com. Beautiful. I love it. Still good. It's just it's coming to us. We're not going to get it, right? Referral. Current client self-referred a new customer. Self-referred, which means we did not ask for it. They did it because they love us. They're raving about us. And again, it's beautiful. I love to know what customers are proactively talking about us because those are the ones that are worth the most to me. Right? Why are they worth the most? Because it's not what they spend, it's what they're helping us gain. Right? So, and then three, text message. Client sent us a text message requesting service or bid. What I'm trying to really figure out here is how is this lead getting to us? So many times within the lead source, I see existing client, and I was like, that doesn't count. Existing client is not a lead source. I want to know the channel, how they got to us. Did they call us? Did they email us? Did I call them? Did I email them? So when we talk about order taking, right? And this is what triggered it, David, right? We're just like, all right, we're order takers. I'm not being mean about this, right? David's not being mean about this. What we're saying is that orders are coming into us, and it's a beautiful thing. It's part of scale because as we do more with businesses, they're going to call us when issues happen. I love it. It's beautiful. That's repeat sales, right? That's all the stuff that we talk about that we want to get. But there's a very, very big difference, right, between going and getting it and it coming to us. And we shouldn't be ashamed on however it got to us. We just need to know so we can better understand how the habit of that client on how they're buying and how we can better engage them. David, does this bring some color to kind of what you were talking about?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So if you guys want to screenshot this, if you want to just email me, I can send it to you. But if your lead types don't look like this, I'm going to make the recommendation that you're changing your lead type so you can understand. And again, this is existing clients. These are current clients. How did your current client request work from you? Is what the real question is. Did they call? Did they email? Did they text message? Did they do this, right? How are they doing it? Did you call in and checked in, right? We talked about our monthly check-ins. Yo, David, what up, dude? Hey, I actually got a roof leak. All right, cool. Let me help out. I engaged that. I triggered that. I called David. Now, it happened that he had an issue. It happened it was there, but I triggered it. I did it. So that's why we're engaging this, right? That's what we're talking about. What's the touch frequency? How often are we there? All that kind of fun stuff that goes behind it. I'll shut up on that now. All right. So we're gonna go back to perfect sales week. I'm sorry, perfect proposal checklist. All right, so we talked about membrane, talked about sheet metal, talked about waterproofing. I'm going to encourage you guys to go have conversations with your team to see what the capabilities are around these three. The next two are very commonly missed. And they're not missed because it's intentional. It's missed because there's not a good amount of education within our industry, and there's not a good amount of communication from our client on what they want, right? So the membrane, sheet metal, and waterproofing, we got access to all of that stuff, right? That's simple. We're on the roof. We can see it all day long. I can drive. I don't even have to be the client. I can drive by the building and do these three. But when it comes to safety, this is a huge, huge educational piece. So if you guys are joining on Monday, I'm going through OSHA right now. And what's OSHA mean internally? What's OSHA mean externally? And then how can OSHA help you, right, naturally bring more value to your customer? Safety is not about us. Okay. Now, safety starts with us because if we're up on the roof, we're responsible for ourselves first, right? Just like in a plane, put your own mask on, then put someone else's mask on. You're responsible for your own safety first. But when it comes to safety on a proposal, what we're required to do is be able to help them protect the roof from anybody who doesn't have the education that we do. Okay. And that could be as simple as a general manager up on the roof looking for a roof leak because you guys can't be out there for 2 days. Happens, right? Happens. They go up there, they see where it is. It could be as simple as them using the roof for the 4th of July to be able to watch fireworks. True story. I worked with a restaurant that for some reason thought it would be a good idea to store all of their patio furniture on the roof. 100% true story. How they got it up there, I don't know, but I can tell you there were people on that roof. And if there's people on that roof, there is a fall hazard. And if there's a fall hazard, it's my responsibility to be able to educate them on how and what OSHA requires about that fall hazard. There's a very fine line between fear and education when it comes to safety. You're not trying to create fear. You're trying to educate them on skylights that have no protection over them. That's considered a fall hazard. If you guys are working within 6 feet of a skylight that does not have a cage over the top or a cage in it, that is a fall hazard. You must be tied off. So think about, everybody's done it. When you walk up next to a skylight and look down in it, you are in direct violation of OSHA if you do not have a lanyard and you're tied off. Safety is not for us, right? When we talk about safety, we're talking about anybody that goes on that roof because naturally that general manager is going to look down. Why? Because it's a cool area to look down and what can I see? Trip, fall, different things like that can change a business or end a business. So when we're talking about safety, it's our job to be able to help them understand what is safety up on that roof. Because not only are we trying to protect their employees, we're also trying to protect them from any type of OSHA violation or fines that they might have. There's tons of stuff that can go on, right? We're talking about OSHA being a government agency that can happen just from people driving by. Something as simple as a roof hatch railing. Okay. Anytime that you go up on a roof hatch that has it can be interior ladder, but it's up against an exterior wall. When you step outside of that roof hatch, which is typically left or right, which is dumb inside my opinion, because the roof hatch naturally opens back, which is the most safest way to step off that roof, but it opens back, which means you either A, step off the roof, bad. You step left or right, which you are in within inches of the edge of the roof. That's a violation. You cannot step off of that roof, be within that area, and not be tied off. So they make roof hatch railing kits. Non-penetrating, right? So self-weighted, where you guys can actually go in and install them to be able to direct people to safety. Gas lines, they're a trip hazard. Right, we talked about those skylights, different things like that. Gas lines that are running across, it's very, very simple to be able to sand those down, paint them yellow. Now you have something that's identified as a trip hazard on that roof. There's 100 different things that you can offer. But again, if your team's not looking for it, if your team is not educated on what safety items to be looking for, because this could be as simple as a 3 or 4 part checklist, right? There's roof hatch railing, safety on skylights, gas lines, painting yellow, simple things that you can add to your proposal that again is helping your customer. educating your customer on some of the things that you saw up on the roof that can bring value to them. If you're using some of the primary systems, a lot of times it's somewhat easy because all they have to do is not check the box. Right? So if you propose the item, the worst case scenario is that they don't award it. But it doesn't mean that they're not educated on it now. It doesn't mean that they aren't aware of it. So it's a huge, huge part. Again, talking to your team about safety regulations, talking to your team about their knowledge of safety. A lot of times they see it all day long. They just don't do it. Why do they not do it? Because we've never done it. No one's ever asked me to put together a proposal on that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I can do that. And all of a sudden, now you're getting closer, right, to that perfect checklist. So again, having conversations internally. If it's your guy, if your technicians are on the field, if you have a field expert, anybody who's putting those reports together, right, getting a line in this perfect checklist can be so important. The last part that we'll go into is interior. So when we talk about interior, I'm not talking about going in and doing drywall. What I'm talking about is there anything that you guys can do within your control to be able to help restore that area back to its condition prior to the roof leak happening? The easiest and most common thing that I added to my services were ceiling tiles. What I found, especially in the property management side, is that once I fixed the roof, that property management company, if they did not have an on-site manager, had to pay somebody to come and change the ceiling tiles. It was insane to me. They had to pay somebody to come and change the ceiling tiles, which means they hired a handyman to come take a look at the ceiling tile, say, yep, here it is. And they're going to pay him to run to Home Depot. They're going to pay him to buy the ceiling tiles. They're going to pay him to swap it out. And most of the time by the end, what I learned, guys, is that amount didn't even hit the minimum, which means that guy charged the minimum, which was $300 to $500 for him to change ceiling tiles. That was a service call under 2 hours. That's a very simple way for you guys to be able to, one, reduce the amount of work orders, reduce the amount of people that they're talking to, right? Now they don't have to have another work order. They don't have to have another contractor to be able to work with. And now you guys are helping them take care of that. If you can get $500 to swap out 2 ceiling tiles, even if you have to run to Home Depot, you will make mean money on that stuff. It'll be very profitable. It'll help your customer because now you're helping them restore the spot, because the most of the time, whether it's the tenant or the building, they want it back in that original condition as quickly as possible. That's why they want you out there as quick as possible, so you can stop the leak or whatever the variable is, right? They want to get rid of that reality. So when you look at these 5 different areas, this requires a large amount of synergy between your team. Right? Membrane is somewhat simple. If you can put together a list, right? That's what you guys do every day. If you put together a list looking for seams, looking for penetrations, looking for different things like that, beautiful. Then you go into sheet metal, right? Sheet metal can be flashings, it can be gutters, it can be downspouts, it can be wall panels, it can be all kinds of different things. What can you expand? What do you have the capability of doing? Then we go into waterproofing, right? We can got sealant and caulk, everything up on the roof. Then we get into control joints. Then we can get into any type of penetration on the wall, right? Windows, doors, anything else to that extent. And then we even talked about SL, self-leveling sealants that can go against buildings. They can go against curb to concrete, all kinds of different things where, again, if you guys have the capability to do it, if you have a waterproofing team that has knowledge on how to do it, why aren't we doing it? Then we get into safety, right? Safety will abide a lot by OSHA because that's a huge educational piece. We don't want to scare anybody in it. We want to educate them and make them aware of the situation or make them aware of the risk. Then they're going to make the choice, is that risk something I can deal with every day, or is it something that I want to protect based upon a million variables? How many people do they have on the roof? Who's up on the roof? So on and so on. Last part is interior, right? Talk about ceiling tiles. You guys can do the rest in there. What work can you guys do logically? I'm not telling you to paint walls. I'm not telling you to do drywall work. I'm not telling you to do anything where you're not going to be able to position yourself as the best option. But I am telling you, ceiling tiles typically is a part of a roofer's world because you're moving ceiling tiles to be able to find the leak. If you're moving them, you can just as easy as replace them. So there's a lot of variables inside this, guys. There's a lot of value in this. When we talk about maximizing proposals, right? One of the 5 drivers, putting these things inside place will allow you guys to be able to naturally increase your proposal size. Anybody know the average cost of a roof hatch railing kit? I'll make you guys put in there, $3,500. $3,500 for a roof hatch railing kit, which based upon most of the numbers that I run with contractors, that's the average proposal that you have in service, period.
Right.
I am doubling your amount, your average proposal amount. I am doubling that, and I'm adding value.
And there's 50 other examples just like that, right? It's not just that, oh, well, if I just do that one, then there's no more. I can't. No, no, no. There's 50 other examples, guys,
Yep.
of how simple it is to help them. And I think if we could just, as we wrap this up, Chad, I think the bottom paragraph, and Chad and I talked about, should that paragraph be at the bottom or the top? Because I think the bottom paragraph is what's so important. It's the mindset, guys. Can we just run through that?
Yeah, sure. So what specifically do we want to throw on that? The act as if side?
What's that?
The act as if side, or what do you mean by mindset?
Oh no, sorry, the very bottom paragraph. It's as trusted advisors, we treating the asset like our own, guys. You know, like yes, we end up getting more sales out of this, guys, but it's really about the client. It's really about, if we own the roof, what would we be doing? Would we allow this negligence to happen? No. So why do we allow it to happen for our clients?
So I'm working on, this is a sidebar to this, but act as if is huge, right? It was just one quarter. Like, I had themes. Every quarter had a theme. That's what we focused on, right? And act as if is one. And that was one of the biggest ones that stuck with me. And it's no longer a quarterly theme. It's just an operational life. I'm working on iPhone, iPad, computer background, different things like that. Act as if this is your only job. Act as if act as if this is your only job. Act as if the next job depends on it. Act as if, and I got a whole thing behind it, but it just goes so deep, right? What if your reputation depended on this job? Did you do your best work? Did you do your best proposal? Right? What if this is your one proposal that you get with your dream client? Is this your best work? Does it include everything that you want it to have? That's where the whole trusted advisor, the whole mindset, the whole act as if came from. Like, if we're going to work with someone, let's be kick ass when we're doing it. Right? But let's also make sure that we're working with people that we want to work with, right? I don't want to be kick ass and pour my heart into someone who has no respect for me, treats me like another contractor and commoditizes me and yells at me every time I send an invoice because it's too expensive. He doesn't think it should be that expensive. That's not someone I want to work with. So we can start setting our business up that we can pour our hearts into, like, doing the best and helping them and being that trusted advisor. Like, those are some of the most fun and rewarding relationships that I've ever had as a roofing contractor. And it revolves a lot around this. That I'm going to do what I need to do based upon my integrity, based upon my ability, that I'm going to treat this as if it's mine. And you know what? If you don't want to do the roof hatch railing, it's not going to hurt my feelings. It's fine. I get it. You don't have the cash. I get it. Nothing's ever happened. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to have my best foot forward, and I'm going to educate you on what I would do if this is my building. That's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully you can take this, you can expand. Hopefully this will open up some conversations internally between you as well as your team. Right? Talk to waterproofing, talk to production, see what they can do, see what they can jam out on, see what they can help you guys produce. Increase the proposal side, increase the value that you guys are getting. Run this 5 steps. The reason I didn't make this 300 check boxes, because it needs to be simple. The more difficult that you make this, the longer and bigger you make it, is the less likely that your team's going to implement it, because it's going to become a pain in the ass. Being honest. So make it simple. Does it have these 5 things? Do we got membrane deficiencies? Yes. Do we look at the sheet metal? Yes. Do we look at waterproofing? Yes. Do we have safety items on there? Yes. Do we have interior? Yes. And you know what? You might have no for interior because there is no ceiling. It's just exposed decking. Perfect. No problem. It's still a perfect proposal because they don't have any interior. Or they have a kick-ass safety system. Or there is no waterproofing. You guys get the idea. This is a standard, right, that you guys can use to be able to increase the revenue with your customers and scale even bigger. So take it, use it, Do they want the deck painted? Yeah, game on. Yeah, it looks pretty sick when it's black, right? You can do like a matte black. Game on. You're getting it. You're getting it. Now do you guys paint metal decking? A whole different story. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. If you guys need anything, let me know. And it's Thursday. See you guys on Monday. Yeah.
Have a great week.